Hi. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sorry about last week. I had a strange scheduling conflict. So sometimes it's just nice not to have class, right? Just kidding. But all right. So we're, it's interesting. I was saying this last class, but it's interesting to notice how the teachings seem to start merging together more and more, just sort of on their own by accident. Um, and a lot of what we were talking about in the class this morning is relevant for now as well. So we've been spending the last class we were spending time on. We had just finished a discussion on the 6 flavors of emptiness, and there was a whole discussion then about why we should follow Chandakirti. Like, what is it that we should why should we follow him, and why we should follow Nagarjuna, and why we shouldn't follow other people's systems. And I was kind of saying it felt like a little bit sectarian to me, like sort of saying, oh, we should do this and not do this other person, you know. And the discussion then really just said, look, if you want to be able to see ultimate reality, you need to follow Nagarjuna and not follow in this, like, you know, I don't know, unreflected kind of way where you're just basically a disciple follower. Oh my God, Nagarjuna, please, like, help me. But more like to understand why his point of view can help you see ultimate reality, and why deviating from it will just leave you in the cycle of samsara. Right. So that discussion went on for quite a while, like basically saying you will not be able to reach liberation if you wander away from his truths, from Nagarjuna, which are actually the Buddha's truths. So it's not like Nagarjuna invented anything, right? But why was, there's a whole interesting discussion that we just had last week and mixed nuts about, like why did, like, why was there need for Nagarjuna? Why was there a need for Arya Sangha to clarify the Buddhist teaching? Like, what happened in those 700 years where people didn't, quote, understand? And we're going to get a little bit of maybe insight into that. Like, why when the Buddha spoke, it took another 700 years for people to clarify what he meant, and how did misunderstandings get entered into it? And Pamonka Rinpoche is very clear in a lot of this, which is, I had never thought of it the way that he was talking about it. So we have some cool things to talk about today. So let me get my notes up here. And here we go. Which one do I want? Complete with notes projection. Okay, this is what I want. Okay. All right. So, excuse me, this is where we finished last time. We finished with this line right here. So let's see. So basically what he was saying in this last line, and then I'll just review it and then we'll move to the next section here. He said basically through the private instructions, okay, through the private advices, the mennoks, right? The private instructions from your teacher, basically private instructions from, that's what mennok means, is the private instructions that get whispered to you. That we're able to then see the truth of emptiness ourselves. Meaning that from Nagarjuna, through Chandakirti, and through a lineage of teaching that keeps it accurate, we can learn to see that truth ourselves. And up here, he basically is saying, we didn't translate this directly because it was something that got pulled up earlier. But he basically is saying that Chandakirti is his best student. Hold on. I thought I was going to sneeze. All right. So let's move on to the next section here. Who do I want to call on? How about Persis? Would you like to read the next section, please?
Thank you. Bob do tell Jason drunk pay Bob na rap key drip ha so soy cap drip key love top mang
The
do
Lopen.
ของmang do chong sungว่าน้ำเลยถอกไม่หลอกของรังรังกีกองปลาแถวกิ้วตูในพามังพกยกเขียง
Wow, your reading is getting very good, Persis.
Thank you.
Let's practice on this word right here. By itself, this is tal. But when you have this pre-nasal here in gyur, it becomes town gyur, almost like there's like a N sound here. Town gyur. Shall you practice it? Oh, your microphone's off.
ทางเกี่ยว
Yeah, town gyur. Like get an N sound like up into your nasal cavity. Town
ทาง
gyur.
เกี่ยว
Good. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. So in early Tibet, so bu means Tibet, na means early. There arose Jungma, many. All right. So in those early years of Tibet, so basically what we're talking about is once Atisha came back into Tibet, and actually, I don't know if that's the right thing to say. Let's just say in the early years of Buddhism in Tibet. Okay. I don't know what time period is being spoken of right here. There were many Mangdu. There were many, let's see here, scholars, practitioners of systems, so we'll say druptas, traditions, okay, and individuals. So there were lots of, in the early years of Buddhism, sort of like the early years of Christianity, there were lots of different groups of people who formed their own, study systems. They formed their own ACIs, they did all those things, we see that happening a lot with Buddhism. You see different groups of people forming, different communities, right? So within all of those communities, they were followers of Chandakirti's system. Okay, te meaning before. So in those early years, many of those Buddhism arrived, and they were followers of Chandakirti, right? So they understood, well, whether they understood or not is different, but they were claiming to follow Chandakirti. All right. What is this? Here we go. So Tokma Lopun, okay, they began. So many of these scholars, many of these Lopuns, they started these foundations. They laid the foundation for new traditions. And in fact, there were many of them, Mangpo, who were also practitioners of Taungur, of the upper middle way, of the Prasangika. So that sounds pretty cool, right? So Buddhism entered into Tibet. And then all these little groups of little ACI groups, right? They might call them ACI, or they might call themselves AKM, or they might call themselves whatever they call themselves, right? Group of Buddhist practitioners. They followed Chandakirti. And they were also, so they were practitioners of the middle way, upper middle way, right? So that's pretty cool. We finish the sentence with Kyung. What does that mean, Persis?
But
Exactly. So here's this whole long thing. Look at all these beautiful ACI groups forming up all around the world in Tibet, right? There's practitioners of the middle way. They're following Chandakirti, but this is probably the most important point you will ever hear in your entire life. I mean, of course, I'll say that next week too. But this is key for every single one of us who want to teach these ideas. So let's have a picture here. How about Anastasia? Could you, Mansarowa, could you read the next line here, starting with Dulja?
Dulja la longodang tumpar trisu na tsok sumpe chine chenju mampu kompa
Gotta give this like chi.
chi
Yeah.
chine chenju mampu kompa kuma lompar rimgi trupar shukpa mangbe mangwe.
Wrong way. Good job. Okay. All right. What's the difference before we get there? What's the difference between chi and chi? So chi without the S, right? Just chi by itself means what? It means outside. Chi with the sa at the end, which is not pronounced, means later, like in the future. Okay. So that's why we have to be careful in the pronunciation. So when you're saying it out loud, you extend this I, chi, so that the listener knows it means later and it doesn't mean outside. Because that would change the meaning of the sentence entirely if it meant outside versus later. Okay. That's just for edification. Okay. So here we have the word mind in students. Okay. So we have some students. We have something going on with the students here. All right. And so they were taught, they were spoken. And here's here's a word, many of you should know this word, nasok. Where else do you see this expression, nasok? Da, da, da. Okay, karma, can you be more specific? Where do we see it?
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Allergic to nuts, okay. Various worlds.
That's right. And where's that from?
Entonces, ya más o menos listo por many things. Y entonces ahora te vas a ir a los textos de
Right. Wait. Fourth chapter.
arriba. Y fourth chapter of Dharma Kosha.
Looks like a translator is stuck. Marina, you have your microphone on. All right.
I don't know what is my microphone.
Your microphone's on. I turned it off. Yeah, so nasok, many. Like nasok can mean multitudes. Right. So in the fourth chapter of Abhidharma Kosha, it means the multitudes of worlds come from karma. Right? Meaning coming from our past deeds. The many different worlds that are possible are coming from our past deeds. In this case, it just means just many things right now. Trisul means methods of teaching. Okay. So this first part of the line is interesting. In order to accommodate the various learning types, Dojalan lo ne, right? The essence of minds of students, meaning various students have different needs. Okay. So in order to accommodate the various learning types, which if you take ACI teacher trainings, you'll be aware of those. So the different types of mind, the different types of learning styles, teachers, they were taught various teaching methods, right? They were taught various teachings, right? Which is sounds like a pretty smart thing to do, right? Tunpa means like in accordance with teaching methods, trisul, many teaching methods in accordance with Dangtumpa, the different minds of students. Okay. That sounds like a really great idea, right? Accommodate your teaching to match the students. But this Kyung should tell us that there's something wrong. Something didn't go quite right. So first, there were followers of the middle way, following Chandakirti's system. They're having a good time in Tibet, all their ACI groups. We were all probably part of ACI groups back then, right? Because we're still here, get it? And then there were some teachers who decided to create new teaching methods to help different students with different minds, right? No problem. Later, Chine, something happened. Okay, what happened here? Just checking something real quick. The many followers, Jechuk Mangpo, right? Many of those followers, right, were not able to ascertain the correct meaning of Chandakirti's viewpoint. Lumpa. They were not, Malumpa, right? They were not able to grasp or understand the true intent of those teachings because someone changed the teaching. So therefore, step by step, Rimgi, gradually, Trupar Shukpa, many Mangwa, many mistaken ideas crept into and changed the original presentation. All right. So this is incredibly important, and I'm going to take the screen off so you all can understand this. This is Pabonka, one line. Okay. He's saying, look, 700 years, it took 700 years after the Buddha for someone to clarify what the Buddha really meant pertaining to emptiness. Most of the people studying Buddhism post Buddha were studying Abhidharma, which is not, it's a lower school and it's helpful, but it's not completely accurate. So Nagarjuna comes along and is like, I got to explain all this stuff to you. So he writes it all out. Chandakirti writes a nice commentary, a really excellent commentary on it called Entering the Middle Way. And that's when a lot of scholars will say, oh, the Middle Way school was invented, 700, 800 years after, 900 years after the Buddha lived. And in some ways, as an innovator, Nagarjuna, as an innovator, yes, did innovate the Middle Way school, but he certainly didn't invent it. Right? There's a difference. Like, you'll hear people in the Buddhist scholarly community, and I'll say it, and I have no qualm saying it, who will just say the Middle Way school was invented after the Buddha. And it just shows a lack of understanding. No, the Buddha spoke it. Okay. It's just that Nagarjuna cleared up misunderstandings that happened after the Buddha died. And in fact, as we learned previously in the last class, that Nagarjuna was also predicted by the Buddha as well. Lungmaten. Like, there was a prediction that someone by Nagarjuna would come. You see, so he clarified all of it. Chandakirti wrote a commentary on it. Buddhism spread. Little ACI groups formed all around Tibet. All right. All of you were probably part of those groups. Okay. And then he says, look, all right, so they're teaching upper middle way. Upper middle way is kind of difficult, right? So different students have different needs. And so they created different presentations to help those students. And then something happened. That wrong ideas crept into the system. Somebody was teaching them upper middle way and then was like, hey, look at my tarot cards. I'm not making fun of it, but I'm just trying to find an example. So somebody decided to teach a class on tarot and Chandakirti. All right. Two different systems. And probably they were teaching them fine. They were teaching tarot cards fine, and they were teaching Buddhism fine. But they thought that it would help the students if they taught tarot cards too. And then because those students weren't really understanding the upper middle way yet, because it's difficult and requires years and years of practice and study, they started mixing systems together. And so there was misunderstandings. This is just an example I'm making up to help you understand. Okay, I don't know if this is what happened. There's just one line, but I'm explaining what happened because I've seen it happen. I've seen people teach Buddhism and add in other things, and then students come out thinking they understand Buddhism, but they're talking about something else. They think they're talking about emptiness, but they're talking about something else. And then that student goes off to be an ACI teacher with those misunderstandings in their mind. And then they teach it to all of their followers and their students. One thing that you enter into your teaching that is not accurate will mess people's lives up forever. Well, until the next time around. Okay. Teaching incorrect things will lead to more suffering. Will not help people get out of will not lead them to the direct perception of emptiness if their understanding of emptiness is incorrect. And I say this without qualm. And, does that mean you can't study other things? Of course. Of course you can. Doesn't mean you can't teach other things. Of course you can teach other things. But don't mess up your Buddhism. Don't mess up emptiness. And if you don't know, make sure the students know that you don't know completely yet. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a lifelong study. I knew someone was going to ask this. Somebody by the name of 790970. That's a great name. I'm going to start calling you that. 790970. Tracy. She's hiding behind numbers. It also doesn't mean don't try to teach it. Okay. Teach what you do know. But you have to be very, very careful about introducing other ideas into your teachings. And if you're not talking about emptiness, you're talking figuratively anyway. All right. And that's something that students also don't understand until they understand it. And that's what ACI 15 is about. How to determine when a teacher is speaking figuratively and when a teacher is speaking literally. Right? So Pabonka is really clear on this. And I think it's really cool and something for us to consider, that being a teacher comes with some heavy responsibility. If you mess it up, you've messed it up for a lot of people. Your students will be messed up, then their students will be messed up. And then another Arya is going to have to come along and clarify everything in 700 years. Because you brought in tarot to your ACI class. Am I judging tarot cards? No. Do they work? Maybe. But we're not teaching tarot. We're teaching emptiness. Okay? Get it? Teach what we're teaching. And if it's not your thing, go teach something else. And that's fine. And there's many systems. All paths lead to the same goal. Tartuk Tepa Chik. I'm not judging those paths. But don't mess up one. Okay? Which I think is a really powerful statement here. Okay, next line. Learn it well, teach it well. Anna, could you read this? Yes, that Anna, waving your hand, Anna. Yes.
Hi, guys. Thank you. I will try. Yamon son kha pasyan ulta bamthar thukik sat kot sat konpa byanse.
Okay, let's do a couple words here. So we have, this is our favorite. This is Son Kappa.
Where?
Right? I'm sorry. I was highlighting the wrong thing. That's Son Kappa.
Son kappa.
Okay. This word is pronounced say.
Se.
Say, ch.
Huh? Secho?
Yeah. Oops. And then this one is Jung.
Like June.
Almost, yeah, Jung.
Oh,
Like, and you pronounce the
Sam.
G. Yeah,
June.
Jung. Yes,
June.
good. Like June, like the month. Good. I like that. Okay, so even Jason Kappa, all right. Our gentle Jamgun is a epithet, is a name that we give the Lama sometime, gentle protector. So even Jason Kappa, Kyung, right? Found it, or found it rare, Kunpa. I think that's, make sure I have this correct. Yeah. It was rare to find someone who understands the ultimate viewpoint, the one and highest ultimate viewpoint. So Jason Kappa, our illustrious, right? Illustrious, probably the most famous writer in the last 700 years of Buddhism, influenced a lot. He said it was rare to be able to find someone, okay, who understands the one and highest meaning. Okay. So that's a really interesting point, right? Now we're kind of like, Pabonka is like, first of all, don't mess it up, everyone. Don't enter other things into the system. And then Jason Kappa is like, and then he's basically saying, yeah, Jason Kappa also found it difficult to find someone who understood. Right. So now it's even more rare, right? And Jason Kappa was what, 1400, 1357 to 1419, right? So 700 years ish, 900, 800 years after Nagarjuna. Okay. Right. So here we have another guy who's like finding it difficult to find someone who understands. So if we look at like the periods of time of Buddhism, of who clarified the meanings, it kind of goes through these periods of, here's the clarity, it declines. Someone else goes, wait, let's do it again. And then it declines. And then someone's like, wait, do it again. You see, and it seems to get clarified every 700, 800 years ish, more or less. Okay. So he was having a hard time finding someone. Let's learn a little bit more about it. Sarah, would you like to read this long paragraph?
Sure, I will try. Tawe, hold on. Kyordi Bochan Chal Chela Tuma Chene Tagil Du Lopon Q Chang Dang Drug Shen Mi Tre So Chal Che Ki Shape
Che.
Is that shape?
Where are sorry, Shay. Jiao Shay. Yeah, Jiao Shay.
Jiao Shay. Ki Heb.
Peb.
Heb.
Peb.
The Pane Lo Trag Troop Chengi Nangi Shol Tape. Sorry.
Shiltab.
Shiltab.
Good job.
Sorry.
All right. Good job. Good job here. All right. So we're talking about Jason Kappa here. So mainly as I used to translate that, not Jason Kappa. So this is, first of all, there's an interesting work here. Tuk. What does tuk mean? generally? It means the heart, right? But honorific or not honorific? Correct, right? It's an honorific, meaning the heart. All right. The mind. It's also honorific for yi. So I believe this is 99% confirmed. I have to do a little bit more confirmation that Pabonka is referring to Jason Kappa as the heart in a very honorific way, referring to him as a high teacher. Okay, which is a really cool way of doing it. I'd never seen it before, so I need to confirm a few things, but that's how I'm taking it. So he was not able to trust the heart, like Jason Kappa, Mache was not able to trust. What was he not able to trust in? For the most part, making it clear, maybe he trusted a few people. For the most part, he was not able to trust in other Tibetans to explain correct worldview. All right. So he just wasn't able to find anyone. He said it was very rare to find someone, and he couldn't find anyone to explain it to him. All right. So he wasn't able to trust other Tibetans. So what did he do? He planned to take a trip. All right. Pepsi Sepa is like, Sise is planning to go on a trip to the Pakyu, which is the land of the Aryas, which means where? What is the land of the Aryas? Right, India. Okay. If you're a translator, don't translate it as the land of the Aryas. Okay. No one's going to have any idea what you're talking about. You can make a footnote. Okay. And then explain what the land of the Aryas is, but don't in your text say he planned to take a trip to the land of the Aryas because he didn't trust the Tibetans. What? Like, that makes no sense. So he went to, and he planned to take a trip to India. For what purpose? Gel. What is a gel? Literally, it means Gel is not quite teacher, no. So he planned to take a trip because he had a wish to gel. Okay. Gel means to request an audience, like in a high level, like, oh, I request to have an audience with the high minister of, I don't know, education. Okay, you wouldn't say quite like that, but like requesting a meeting. It's basically saying, I want to have a meeting with you in very honorific language. All right. So he had planned to take a trip to the land of the Aryas because he wanted to have a meeting. He wanted to meet with some teachers, request an audience with two teachers. All right. One's name is, what is it? Nagabodhi. And the other one is Maitripada. Okay. Lujiang and Drupchen Mitra. Sok, others. Okay, so he basically was like, look, I don't understand what the heck's going on. I can't find anyone in Tibet, mainly. So let's take a trip to India. Okay. Sounds like a great idea. A lot of us do that. I can't find the answers. Let's go to India. Let's go meet the teachers. However, he was dissuaded he was convinced, he was strongly urged not to. He was strongly urged by some guy named Lodrok Drupchen. He was urged to delay his trip by this guy. All right. Nangi means by urging, like put a lot of pressure on, like don't do it. Okay. And we're going to learn about this guy in just a second. Who was this guy who urged him? All right. His name is actually Namka Gyaltsen. And Geshe Kappa ended up learning two of the three main LAMRIM lineages from this teacher. Okay. And we're going to learn a little bit about this in just a second. Let's go to the next line. So this guy, he was going to go to India, but this guy was like, hey, wait. Just hang out here for just a little bit longer. Why? Let's find out. Anna Vako, Anna, one of your students played a musical offering at the event in at Diamond Mountain. It was really good. It was very beautiful. So you must be a good teacher.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. And can you start reading?
Group Chen. Нят Nutkus. Chu group.
Sudyu.
Du. Jodren. Delavey. So.
Where are we reading the same thing? I'm sorry, I'm just having a hard time following where you are. Can you start right here where the highlighted letters are? At the say.
Them. Sedeleta. Vei. Kor. Young door.
Chuck. That's Chuck door.
Chuck door. La juice. Ne de ten. Peiju.
Shu.
Landman. What? Chok dude.
Just do, but that last D is silent. I'm sorry, it's hard. Chok do.
Dude. Chok do. Chok do. Ci. Cipeng. Va.
Nice.
Vajes. Pade. Nank.
Nice. Good job. Nice. Good job. Okay, so why did this guy, Lochak Drupchen, Namka Gyaltsen, urge Geshe Kappa to not take this long trip to India? Okay. So let's see here. So he had this capacity, Lodrok Drupchen had this capacity to speak to Vajrapani directly. Okay. And so Geshe Kappa was able to ask questions through Namka Gyaltsen and ask questions about emptiness. All right, so this might be why he said, look, you don't need to go there. You can just talk to me. And I can give you that that guidance on how to, what you're looking for. You don't need to go and take a big long trip, get on an airplane, or in this case, walk, right, over the mountains to get these teachings. You can just get the correct worldview through me. Okay. And so Chakdor is Vajrapani. All right. And so he was able to make requests, like high honorific, right? Asking to Vajrapani about correct worldview. But he was asking through this person. All right. And so the details of this teaching, that teaching that he got from Vajrapani through Namkha Gyaltsen, can be found in the following text. Sulan Men Chok Dutsi Trengwa. Trengwa is like a garland or like a necklace of nectar, Dutsi, the highest nectar, the medicine. So it's like a garland of highest medicinal nectar. In this text is like you open it up and it's like this beautiful necklace that can give you the highest medicinal, I don't know. It's like the best pharmacy you can go to. Right? The best pharmacy is this garland of highest nectar through divine responses, like Shulen, like Lena's responses. So the idea here is that this conversation was documented in this text. So the details of that text can be found there. So my question is, what the heck is going on here? Oops. Like, what's the learning? And when we're studying LAMRIM, we should always be looking at like what's the deeper message. Jason Kappa can't find the teachings. He can't find someone who understands emptiness properly. So he's like, I need to go find a teacher. Good. So he needs to go find that teacher. Then he's like, where should I go? Well, where's the most spiritual place? I don't know, the land of the Aryas. Okay, what should you do if you want to find a teacher? You should come to Rimrock. That's where all the spiritual teachers are, right? That's where they all are. You should come here. Or you should go backpacking through India and get diarrhea for 3 months of your life. Right? That's a high holy thing to do. Go find your teacher, right? Now, there's nothing wrong with looking for your teacher. That's not what we're saying here, right? But what determines if you're going to find your teacher or not? Right. Take care of other people. If you plant the right seeds, you don't have to go to Rimrock. You don't have to go to the Pakpeyul, right? You don't have to go to the land of the Aryas, right? You don't need all of that. You plant the right seeds, the teacher will just show up. You'll be going on your trip and they'll be like, dude, where are you going? I'm going on a trip to India to get some diarrhea to meet someone high and holy. Or I'm gonna go travel to the desert of the United States to meet people in Rimrock, the capital of the world, right? Small little town. Is that where you need to go? Or what if you just had the seeds? Oh, Tim, what if I don't have the seeds? Oh, you made it. You got Zoom. You can go see most of the teachers. Okay. But you see, like, if you have the right karma, you don't have to go do some crazy spiritual quest. Just plant the seeds and then the teacher comes to you. Right? Which I think is it's a pretty poignant point. It's a pretty poignant conclusion that is coming to here. You don't have to run away, just plant the seeds. Now, is there a time when going on a quest, like a Sindura quest to meet Vajragini might be something that's recommended? Yes. Okay, well, we'll talk about that later. But look, you don't have to go run to India. Maybe if you run to India, you will find your teacher, but maybe you won't. And it doesn't matter whether you're in India or Rimrock or the Ukraine, or you're in like, what is that place called? The tip of South America. It's called, anyway, where Patagonia. Thank you. All right. Doesn't matter where you are. If you have the seeds, the teacher will appear. Right? Okay. Next. Who wants to read? How about Hen? Would you like to read? Let me put the text up first. Maybe does not. Okay, here we go.
Đi đi ăn trên ăn chi phê chế đó nê đông chi chế phá cho phá để chẳng thu trung ma chim phá la ma đăng chăm bang bê I don't know to ask.
Yerme.
Yeme nó số để chẳng.
Yeah. Here's another example here. Sol Deb. So it's Sol with a prenasal. Sol Deb. So this little thing here affects the pronunciation. The owl. Sol Deb. Okay. So even up. So what were we talking about? We were talking about, the last line was about, we can find the dialogue between those two in this text called the Divine Answers. So even up to today, like Den Sung, even up to today, in the pechas are just, pecha is like the papers, like the Tibetan, like the way they printed on the papers front and back. Even in those pechas, so in those pechas, in those texts, even up until today, people are still having debate about what happened in those conversations between Vajrapani and Tsongkhapa. Like there's a lot of philosophical debate about that conversation. So when you read the contents of it, apparently, I have not read them, is that those conversations, it's not really clear whether they're correct or not. Okay. And so even Je Tsongkhapa, Kyung, right? Here he is again, Tuk, right? Even himself, he was not entirely convinced, Chungma Simpa. He was not entirely convinced of those teachings himself. So what did he do? So he was like, look, I'm going to go to India. And he was like, okay, let's go to India. Then this guy shows up, obviously a very high practitioner, is like, hey, you don't need to go anywhere. Just talk to me and we can talk to Vajrapani. We can have a nice day. Nice conversation. They have a great conversation, but Jason Kappa still had some doubts and wasn't entirely convinced, right? He wasn't sure about it. So what did he do? He made some requests. He made some prayers. Somdev. Who did he make them to? La. His Lama and Jamyang, right? Manjushri. Who he considered Yerme. The two of them, he considered his Lama and Jamyang to be inseparable. So he saw his teacher as a normal human, I guess, maybe, and inseparable from Manjushri, which would make him a normal human, I guess. So he's like, look, I still don't need to go to India. I'm going to make some prayers to my teachers. And he also to my teacher, and who I also see as inseparable from Manjushri. Great. Let's do one more line and then we'll end for today. Who would like to read? You're translating. Anna, recording English, Anna, from Ukraine.
Hello, thank you for opportunity. Sakchan, Shi Ra La Gyun Rinwa Miknam Kyonwa Namla Shik Ril
Cheek drill, yep.
Chikril Cape Чишу, Чемчан, Цокки, Цалцик.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
Good job. Okay, so Jason Kappa made prayers to his teacher. And then what did he do? This is for all of you students. Take note. Make requests of your teacher. And then what do you need to do? You need to practice. Okay. And for a long time, Gyun Ringwa, for a long time, he practiced diligently. Okay. Shukdrak. Right. Fiercely. Drak. Strongly. Shuk. With strength. What did he do? Sakjang. He planted good seeds and he removed the negative seeds. All right. So don't whine to your teacher about what you need to do. Okay. Make requests, and then over a longer period of time, not just one day, maybe not just a week, with fierce resolve and shuk, strength, you do, what do you do? 4 steps and 4 powers. Okay. I'm just going to put it on my little thing here. What should you do? Sakjang, shukdrak, with ferocity, with diligence and strength. Okay. And just effing do it. Okay. And then he also, in his own meditation, he took up all the important topics one by one, probably LAMRIM. Okay. So he planted good seeds, 4 steps. He did the 4 powers, removed those negative seeds. And then what did he do? He meditated on the LAMRIM. Okay. And he combined them all together into one practice. All right. Cheek drills say, condensed them, brought them all together into one practice. All right. And his practice was simple: meditation on LAMRIM, all the topics, 4 powers, 4 steps. Okay. Chisu. Then after that, he met in a vision, shall seek, divine vision. He met his teacher, Manjushri, directly. Okay. You too can meet Manjushri or Vajragini or Vajrapani if you do these things. Ask your teacher for blessings. Maybe have a tantric worldview of your teacher that they're inseparable from Manjushri or Vajragini. See them as one and the same. And then just do the hard work. That's what you have to do. Meditate on all the topics of the LAMRIM. 4 steps, 4 powers. And then, ta-da, you get to meet Manjushri. Wasn't so hard now, was it? All right. This is why I love the LAMRIM. It tells us exactly what to do through a story. Jason Kappa is like, oh, you know, I got to go get diarrhea for 3 months or go get a visa to come to the United States to Rimrock. Or he has a good enough seeds to be like, let's just talk to Vajrapani over here. You think you're going to talk to Vajrapani in India, or you're going to talk to Vajrapani on your porch? Which one? It doesn't matter. You need the seeds. And then you're like, well, shit, I want to meet them directly. Okay, what do? Ask your teacher for help, get the blessing, and then do the work. The end. Not so hard, right? Do the work. 4 steps, 4 powers. Emptiness, LAMRIM. 10 years of LAMRIM. That sounds like enough. Cool. Thank you all very much. Welcome to story time. We'll see you on Thursday. We'll continue with this next class. We're going to learn about the different types of visions that you can have of the divinity, you know, what different ways you can do it and how you can, you know, generate that yourself, all through stories of Jason Kappa. Thank you, interpreters. I know it's really hard. I tried to be nice today. Thank you, everyone recording. And yep, see you on Thursday. And please say goodbye to each other.
Goodbye.
Yêu team love. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
amazing class.
Thank you.
Дякую.
Thank you.
Adios.
Bye.
Bye.